Kelly Dove gripped the receiver behind the Imperial Gas station counter in Harrisonburg, Virginia, so hard her knuckles went white. She kept her voice down, like the walls could give her away. "Please hurry," she whispered into the line. "He's come back." A faint shuffling sounded, too close, too sudden. Then the call collapsed into dead air, and outside in the dark lot, a patrol car rolled in silent. But to understand how we got here, you have to rewind to earlier that night, hours before the line went quiet. In a small Bridgewater kitchen, Kelly, born Kelly Jean Berg in 1961, slipped into her work jacket while her little girl, Tammy, hovered near a toy on the floor. Dale Dove checked the clock, keys clicking once in his hand. Kelly wasn't supposed to work overnight. She'd swapped shifts with her sister. Now she kissed Tammy goodbye, pulled the door shut behind her, and stepped into the cold dark. At around 10 p.m., Dale's car eased under the Imperial canopy, the pumps washing the forecourt in hard white light. Kelly climbed out, shut the door with both hands, and walked straight toward the glass entrance. Dale watched her cross into the bright store, then drove off down a quiet Harrisonburg road, leaving her alone with the register, the humming lights, and the long stretch of night. Near midnight, Kelly wedged her shoulder against the corded phone behind the counter and called her mother, Rachel. With her free hand, she flipped a magazine on the countertop and nudged an ashtray closer. Rachel later said Kelly sounded normal, steady, unhurried, like it was just another shift. When the call ended, Kelly set the receiver down carefully, as if placing it could keep everything in place. Later, Kelly drifted toward the front windows and stared out through the glass at the payphone outside, one small island of plastic and metal in the darkness. A man lingered out there, or moved somewhere in the lot, long enough to make her step back from the window. The station felt suddenly too exposed, every pane of glass a spotlight. When the phone rang again, Kelly retreated behind the counter and reached for it with quick, practiced hands. At 2:27 a.m., she dialed 911 from the cashier station, keeping her voice controlled while her eyes kept sweeping the lot. "I just had an obscene phone call," she told the dispatcher. She mentioned a man who'd been in earlier, kind of dressed improperly. Then she asked, "Could you keep an eye out on me?" The words hung under the fluorescent lights, like something she didn't want to admit she needed. 2 minutes later, at 2:29 a.m., Kelly called 911 again, this time from the front windows, receiver pressed tight to her ear. Outside, headlights skimmed across the glass as a car moved through the lot, and Kelly tracked it like she was counting down. She told the dispatcher it looked like a silver-colored Ford. Her sentences came faster now, thinner, as if she was trying not to waste a breath. At 2:30 a.m., she made the third call from the narrow space behind the counter, lowering her voice as though someone stood close enough to hear her breathe. "Please hurry," she whispered. "He's come back." Then the receiver shifted in her hand. A shuffling sound filled the line, and the night went blank. At 2:31 a.m., an officer pushed through the Imperial station door and stopped just inside, listening to the hum of the lights and the silence beneath it. He walked to the counter, looked behind it, then looked again, because the station was open, bright, and empty. Kelly's purse sat there with cash still inside. Loose money lay on the counter like it had been dropped mid-count. The register hadn't been cleared out. The officer leaned closer and noticed the magazine left open, as if someone had marked a page and meant to come right back. In the ashtray, a cigarette had burned down and died on its own. The phone sat where it belonged, but the air around it felt disturbed, too still, too expectant. He turned his head toward the dark windows, waiting for movement that didn't come. On the roads around Harrisonburg, other officers drove slow and alert, sweeping spotlights across passing cars, checking every silver shape that could be a Ford. Back at the station, investigators weighed what the scene suggested. Not a robbery, not a walkout, but fast compliance. Maybe a weapon, maybe a threat close enough to make a scrappy young woman leave everything behind in seconds. Days later, in a quiet living room, Rachel sat rigid beside a phone on a side table, staring at it like it might ring and put the night back where it belonged. Somewhere else, under flat lighting at a police desk, an investigator opened an envelope from an anonymous writer and read a name the public would never hear. Decades on, the Imperial Station still feels crowded with abandoned, ordinary things. An open magazine, a dead cigarette, money left where it fell, and with one sentence that never found an ending: he's come back. If that line stays with you, subscribe to Dying to Know and come with us into the silence that follows.